Hello, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. This is another Codex reading episode. So, last time we had quite a few Codex entries that we read through, but we have acquired probably about double the amount that we previously had. So I may or may not split this into two episodes depending on how long this takes. I'm just going to get the tutorials out of the way, because I'm not going to read through the tutorials. They popped up on the screen. I'm just getting it so it no longer pops a little star. Okay. So yeah, this might take a bit longer. Might have to be 2 episodes. Probably spread them out then. So, let's start from the bottom. Places. So I think the ones with the little star are new. So let's have a look. I think they all have the same picture. Ferelden after the Blight. One needed only stroll through Denerim Market to appreciate Ferelden's resilience. You would be hard-pressed to believe that Darkspawn ravaged the city within our lifetime. Scars remain for the people who lived through it, but life moves forward. Now children play in the streets, children for whom the Blight is a story their parents tell. I once heard a small boy ask what a Darkspawn was. To him, it was only a word he had learned from the older youths. We teach that a learned child is a blessing upon his parents and a joy unto the Maker. Andraste, forgive me, but I felt joy at his smiling ignorance. The actions of our rulers are thus a puzzle to me. Despite the events at Kirkwall, Ferelden continues to offer refuge to the rebel mages, which will only bring trouble to our doorsteps. It already has. Rumour among the merchants suggests that Starkhaven places sanctions on trade as a sign of protest. One hears of conflict in the Hinterlands between the Templars and mages. Mother Diana says I am to accompany her to the conclave in Haven. She says to have faith in the divine Justina and that, whatever comes, we shall see the Maker's will done. I think of those smiling children who have grown up with death and fear, and I pray it is so. A letter from Sister Kira to the Denerim Chantry to her sister in the Free Marches. So it seems like Ferelden has recovered quite well after the Blight, and is probably prospering a little bit. That's good. Haven. I would like to speak to you of Haven, the village in the Frostbacks, close to the Temple of Sacred Ashes. We are all aware of its past. It was home to the disciples of Andraste, as they call themselves, descended from the people who built the temple itself. They have strayed, over years of isolation, from their once noble roots to become dragon worshippers. After the hero of Ferelden discovered the Temple of Sacred Ashes, which the disciples guarded jealously, what remains of the cult moved on, and Haven was abandoned to the ice and the snow. I passed through Haven on my pilgrimage to see the Temple of Sacred Ashes. There was a storm, and I took shelter in the hall of Haven's chantry. Though they were dusty from neglect, the walls of that lonely place were strong and shielded me from the biting winds. Peace came upon me, and my eyes were opened to Haven's incredible beauty. It could not be overcome by the pain and the horrors of the past. It could not be masked by decay and disuse. It would not be forgotten. Haven is precious to Orlais, to the Chantry, and to the Sunburst throne for its historical and religious significance. It is my will that Haven be restored, redirected to the service of Andraste, and preserved for the ages. Let it be a sanctuary for the pilgrims who seek out the Temple of Sacred Ashes. May they rest here beneath the cold, bright skies. May the glory of the Maker be revealed to them, as they gaze upon the grey peaks that are the work of his hand. Now and forevermore, let this be a haven for the faithful. From a speech by Divine Justina V in 935 Dragon. Temple of Sacred Ashes rediscovered, and his followers built a temple to house her remains. For there the legend ends. For centuries men searched for the Temple of Sacred Ashes, finding only rumours and tall tales. Chantry scholars concluded there was no temple, there were no sacred ashes, it was all a myth, allegory intended to inspire and feed the fire of faith. Then the hero of Ferelden came, seeking to cure a dying Arl with the miraculous power of the ashes. The hero, with the help of renowned scholar Brother Ferdinand Genetivi, traced the steps of the ancients and came to a remote ruin, high in the Frostback Mountains. There, the urn of sacred ashes waited, as the legend said it would. After the triumph of the righteous over the fifth blight, the temple's discovery was shared with the world. Much to our dismay, however, by the time the soldiers arrived at the temple, the urn had disappeared. To this day, we do not know who took them, or why. All that is certain is that it was the Maker's will. The hero of Ferelden did not share the discovery with the world, and Brother Genetivi, whose research made it possible, had disappeared without a trace. Truth, however, will always out, and rumours circulated about the cause of Al Eamon Gwerin's miraculous recovery. Agents of the Chantry investigated claims about the sacred ashes and were eventually led, as the hero had been led, to the temple. By the time our soldiers reached it, however, the urn was nowhere to be found. Though the ashes were gone, the temple itself stood, and it has since become a source of hope for the faithful. If the Grand Cathedral is the beating heart of our Chantry, then the sacred ashes is our soul. Here we honour the Chantry's past, even as we forge bravely into our future. From a lecture delivered by Chantry scholar Mother Clothide at the University of Orlais in 938 Dragon. Now, I think I read this before in the Let's Play itself. But yeah, there is a bit here. The hero of Ferelden did not share the discovery with the world. This, I believe, is a choice in Origins where you could share the discovery. So I wonder if you had chosen to share the discovery, whether that would show up differently here. I guess we'll see. Is there any more? There's one more place. The Hinterlands. I suppose you're stretched thin, but anything you can do to lessen the burden of these poor folk would be much appreciated. I'll do as I can, and if your men need better mounts, say the word. Best of luck to you, my lord. Be careful not to let the Duchess puff out her gut when you saddle her. Yours in service, Dennet. A letter from Redcliffe's former horsemaster to Arl Tegan of Redcliffe, undelivered. Resources found here: elfruit, spindle, weed, blood lotus, crystal grace, royal elfruit, deep mushroom, Iberium, iron, drakestone, onyx, obsidian. Okay, so. Oh! There was more. I guess we'll start from the start. My lord Arl Tegan, I retired from the Hinterlands for peace and quiet away from politics, and because the wide open spaces were perfect to let my horses run. Instead, the war between the mages and the Templars has turned your beautiful hills into a series of burning battlefields. The farmers who live in the Hinterlands are good folk. Many of them left Redcliffe village because they couldn't bear to be there anymore. Not after the Blight and the Walking Dead left so many bad memories. Now we've got apostates running around setting fire to anyone who looks at them sideways, and the Templars looting houses and cutting down those who protest as mage sympathisers. My wife, Ilana, sent off to our field hands to stay with her family in the east, but there are a lot of poor people here with nowhere to go. We get more refugees every day, and this village attacked by mad mages or the farmstead burned to the ground by Templars who can't tell a hoe from a staff. I suppose you're stretched thin, but anything you can do to lessen the burden of these poor folk would be much appreciated. I'll do as I can, and if your men need better mounts, say the word. Best of luck to you, my lord, and remember not to let her Duchess puff out her gut when you saddle her. Yours in service, Dennet. So, this is the same letter. But, Arl Tegan of Redcliffe. So, is Arl Eamon still around? I'm guessing not. I guess Tegan is taken over. Maybe Eamon might be dead now. Or maybe he's moved on to other things. It's interesting. And also, this is the horsemaster we were, as a side quest that we were looking for in the Hinterlands. So, it's useful to know. We've finished all the places. What next? Magic? Guess we're gonna do magic. Ah, good, some short ones. A colour. A skull set upon a staff, these macabre artifacts cause magical shards in the area to glow with magical radiance when a viewer looks through the eyes of the skull. So yeah, this allows us to find collectibles. Red lyrium. To answer your question, of which you speak, a single piece of it surfaced in the eastern city of Kirkwall, and its influence alone was nearly enough to cause the city's destruction. As near as we can determine, it is regular lyrium that has been somehow corrupted. Those who have touched red lyrium, or even come near it, report it sings to them, like whispers in the mind that slowly drive them mad. We do not know, however, what might stem from extended contact with red lyrium. Madness, surely, but would there be a physical corruption as well? What would happen if a mage or Templar used red lyrium as they used regular lyrium? Far more disturbing is the fact that lyrium could be corrupted at all. Treat any red lyrium you encounter as if it was poison. Do not go near it, do not attempt to destroy it, and most importantly, do not attempt to use it. From partially burned letter from by an unknown writer affixed with the Grey Warden seal. Okay. So, red lyrium's pretty bad substance. The breach. What does it mean to pierce the veil, that which separates our world from the realm of dreams and demons? For the average man and woman, it is a frightening thought to consider just how fragile this separation actually is. The veil is not a physical curtain, not a structure limited to a particular place, it is everywhere. It is in their home, in the streets where they walk, in the farmers' fields, as well as the remote mountain vales. At any moment it should be torn to shreds, allowing demons and other horrors to flood into our world like water through a burst dam. Known lore tells us that small rifts can be sealed. What about large ones? What if some catastrophic magical event created a rift so large and horrific it weakened the integrity of the veil as a whole? Such a breach could threaten our entire world, turning concerns about occasional demonic intrusion into a charming antidote compared to the monsters we then face. If there was anything to be done, any reason we should look at magic with fear is for that possibility more than any. From The True Threat of Magic by Lady Seeker Andrela Vale. So this is from another Seeker like Cassandra. There must be a whole bunch of Seekers then. So maybe we'll meet some others. I'll show the picture. Although it is the same as all the others. So we've got a few ones here. I'm not going to read through crafting material. I will quickly click on them and kind of move through them like this, in case you want to read through them yourselves. I just read through some. They're not very interesting, so I thought I'd pop those up on the screen so you could pause it and read them yourselves. But I'm not that interested. So, history though, that sounds interesting. I believe we've read The Chant for the Departed. Let's see. Right, we got 5 or 6 here. A Study of the Fifth Blight, Volume 1. While some of my contemporaries dispute whether the Fifth Blight was a true blight or merely a large darkspawn resurgence, historians agree that it began in the swamps of the Kokari Wilds in the southeastern border of Ferelden in the year 930 Dragon. King Caelan Theren was swift in responding to the threat, gathering the royal army, every Grey Warden in his country, and sending a call for aid to the Ferelden nobility. The assembled armies laid a trap in the ruins of Ostagar, hoping to crush the force before it reached civilization. But they failed. Darkspawn overran the defenders of Ostagar and decimated the king and his army. They continued their advance into Ferelden unopposed. Only 2 Grey Wardens managed to escape the slaughter, and somehow they came into possession of ancient treaties, which compelled the races of men to join arms against the massing horde. The surviving wardens made their way to the Kinloch Hold, home of the Ferelden Circle, and conscripted the mages. In desperation to find more allies, the wardens journeyed into Brazilian forest seeking the Dalish. The elves too joined the growing army. Balin Aidukin was crowned king of Orzammar, and the dwarven armies marched for the surface. Despite their successes, though, greater challenges were to come. From A Study of the Fifth Blight by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. So, this, I imagine, is one that's generated based upon what you did in Origins. For example, let's see the first one. Yeah, the mages could be the Templars. Dalish could be werewolves. Or, I think both. I'm not 100% sure. Balin could be Harrowmont. And yes, that's all of those ones. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Good to know what the background to this particular world state is, because it's the default one. So, mages, Dalish, Balin. Okay. Cool. A study of the Fifth Blight, Volume 2. They gathered the lords and ladies found Tyrn Loghain guilty of a number of crimes and sentenced him to execution. Furthermore, the landsmeet bore witness to the betrothal of Queen Honora to Alistair Thurin, the lost son of Marek. The nobility then pledged their own armies in the battle against the Blight. The archdemon clashed with the allied forces at the city of Denerim, and was eventually slain, but at terrible cost. Much of the city lay in ruin, and the warden who rallied the armies, later known as the Hero of Ferelden, perished in battle. The Fifth Blight ended before most of Thedas knew it had begun, but it had left a terrible wound on Ferelden. The losses suffered at Ostgar and Denerim greatly compromised the security of the kingdom. Southern Ferelden, from the Kokori wilds to the edge of the Banorn Air, to this day a wasteland. It's uncertain how far the ripples from this event shall travel, or what waves it has already stirred. From a study of the Fifth Blight by Sister Pitrine, Chantry Scholar. So again, this is basically a run-through of Origins. Oh, there's more! I really wish it would start, scrolled up at the top. I need to catch that up. The warden sought Al Erin, uncle to the late King Caelan, in hopes of mustering troops from the Ferelden nobility. Upon arriving at Redcliffe, they learned that the Earl had fallen ill and was near death. The knights had gone in pursuit of the fabled Ashes of Andraste, Eamon's only hope for a cure. And a village surrounding the keep was beset by a host of animated corpses. The wardens found and stopped the demon behind the undead before joining the search for Eamon's cure. No one is certain if the wardens actually located the final resting place of Our Lady Andraste, but whatever they found saved the Earl of Redcliffe. Upon his recovery, Eamon Gwerin called for a landsmeet, and he and the wardens travelled to Denerim. They gathered lords and ladies of Ferelden. Yes, right. So we read that bit. So, yes, the first choice was Eamon. It doesn't say what happened at Redcliffe, so I'm not entirely sure which option took there. It was the lady could die, as in Eamon's wife. Connor, his son, could die, or you could go into the Fade. I didn't know those were the options there. I think it was Jarwin had to die for that. Or maybe nobody had to die. Can't quite remember. Anyway, Loghain's dead. He could still be alive as a Grey Warden, but not in this world state. The Archdemon clashed with allied sources. Yeah, Hero Ferelden perished in battle. Now this is one where it's quite important, because Morrigan is apparently in this game at some point. And Morrigan could have had an old god baby with the Hero of Ferelden, or with Alistair, or with Loghain, but none of that happened. And if she had, he would live. So it's a bit of a change from a usual world state. That's kind of cool. Also, you could have I believe you can run into the Hero of Ferelden at some point, or you could hear about him, but I imagine you won't hear about his recent exploits because he'd be dead. So, the next one. The Conclave. Quickly. A single battle that would see the mages' resolve crumble, after which they would meekly return to confinement. That did not happen. This conflict could drag on forever with advantage on neither side. Oh my god, it's scrolled down again. We'll move on. It has been A year of little more than chaos. Yes, the mages voted to dissolve the Circle of Magi, but I will point out this vote came only after increased restrictions were placed on them following the unfortunate events at Kirkwall. What other choice did they have? Yes, the Templar Order abandoned their duties and elected to pursue the mages to bring them back in line. But after 1,000 years in which their sole role was the mages' keepers, what else could one expect? They envisioned the war over quickly. A single battle that would see the mages' resolve crumble, after which they would meekly return to confinement. That did not happen. This conflict could drag on forever with advantages on neither side. Both Templars and mages see this, and thus they have agreed to come to the conclave. This is our chance. Words need to be said which have not been said. A compromise must be reached because there is no other choice. I believe with this with all my heart. I am not without faults in all this, that perhaps I pushed too hard for reform or not enough. The Maker has seen fit to give me another chance. I will not squander it. The Temple of Sacred Ashes is where together we will make history. With luck, we will be remembered kindly for it. From the Journals of Divine Justina, 5th Dragon 941. So this is the events at the start of the game. It's kind of interesting to see her view on it. But yeah. And this might be the choice from Dragon Age 2. I can't remember whether this is a choice or something that just happened, but dissolving Circle of Magi happened. Remember. So, the First Inquisition. The birth of the Chantry took place more than 9 years ago. The mists of time have obscured once well-known facts. It is commonly believed that the Chantry alone created the Templars and the Circle of Magi. Few recall there was ever an Inquisition. Those who do believed it predated the Chantry, hunting cultists and mages in a reign of terror ending only upon its transformation into the Templar Order. This is not quite the truth. One must keep in mind that the state of Thedas prior to the Chantry's creation, a world where the only source of order, the Tevinter Imperium, had fallen apart. People blamed magic for the death of Andraste, the blight, the terror they saw every day, and not without reason. Abominations and demons rampaged the countryside. No one was safe. Disparate groups of men and women initially formed the Seekers of Truth, determined to re-establish order because no one else would do what was necessary. The truth they sought, the question they tried to answer, was how to restore sanity in a world gone mad. Was theirs a reign of terror? Perhaps. Evidence suggests they were vigilant in their protection of mages as they were of regular people. When they intervened, they convened an ad hoc trial to determine the guilty party. This even application of justice led to their poor reputation. The Seekers came down against every group at one time or another. Their Inquisition gained notoriety for being on no one's side but their own. They considered themselves good people, however, followers of the Maker's true commandments. This was never more evident than when they laid down. I think this should be laid down their banner in support of the fledgling Chantry. They believed with all their heart that the Templar Order was the answer a desperate Thedas needed in a terrible time. Unfortunately, the Inquisition was composed of independent idealists, not Chantry zealots. That is the truth. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genitivi. So, given Brother Genitivi did most of the Codex entries in Origins, this is probably quite accurate. So, the Inquisition kind of looked for justice for all. It's not a bad thought. Anyway, I will show you the image, and we can move on. Just gonna have a quick look at how many we have left. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Right, I think I'm gonna end this part here. And I will put up the second part later. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.